Hi there, Christopher here. Quick update on chapter 2 of Saving Satoshi. So at the end of the story of chapter 1, we're off in our helicopter, solo copter, to fly to this location. In chapter 2 then, I changed this cover page here on the chapter's overview page. So we're kind of hovering now over this warehouse, and that's kind of that's kind of the entry point for chapter 2. We don't want to, previously we had this image of the interior of the warehouse, but I don't think we want to give that away quite yet. So landing screen, it talks about we're circling the warehouse in our budget copter, and it looks like it's abandoned. So here we are. For images, I just kind of put in placeholders for now, I did like 5 image generations. I assume they'll all change, but it's close enough for kind of a first version. Then the story continues, and here in this part here, we land the helicopter and we get into the building, and then we kind of see this space and we see all the ASIC miners here. That's the image that we've used so far. So similar to chapter 1 now, there are also a couple of pages to introduce the story. And then in a office, we discover this old computer here, and we turn it on, and we kind of start hacking away. That's when the challenge begins. Now we need something to transition us over into the actual challenge here. So that's why I have a neat copy here screen. So challenge 1, there needs to be some transition into hashing, and because the first challenge is about you typing in some text and you will see the hash. So just kind of playing with that a little bit. And then we tell the users, we ask them, did you notice something unique about those hashes? Then we ask them to create a hash, type something in that creates a hash that starts with 1 0. Then we say, cool, that was easy. How about you find one with 2 zeros? And then, it gets a little bit more complicated. So the learner kind of gets the idea that this gets exponentially more difficult. So that's challenge 1, just kind of loosely playing with hashes. Then we go into saying that, well, this is gets pretty hard if you need to have a lot of zeros. So let's find some script. That's where we get into our first scripting challenge. I have actually no idea how much code this will be. I just kind of made something up. So this probably makes no sense here. Just kind of a stub for a function. It imports some algorithm and you're supposed to return it. So you write your code. Here it says script output, and then run the script. So this is what you need to press. I don't know if this is really obvious enough that this is what you need to press to execute the script. That's what you need to do. Then if you type in something nonsensical, like here, then it has to throw you some error. That's where I'm also curious if we can evaluate the script somehow. Can we detect, like this one returns null, it uses a function called hashalize that doesn't exist. Nothing here makes sense. Can we actually detect that nothing makes sense here, or do we just say, well, error, fix it? I'm also curious now if we already want to introduce different programming languages here, or just keep it really simple. So I'm probably not the person to decide that. That probably depends on technical complexity here, and also what might make sense for developers. But let's say, I don't know, let's just assume this is a working script. This gets called with increasing nonces 0, 1, 2, 3, and at some point it stops and it tells you, okay, this hash only has 2 zeros, trying again, and then this number keeps ticking up until it finds the one with 5 zeros is what we're looking for here. So there are some consistent components from the terminal challenge from chapter 1, but there's also some new stuff in here. Then, so the challenge 3 is what we pulled forward from the previous chapter 3 that was intended as this part, but now we moved it here. So logically now we know how this code now works. We can take one step higher, and now we're gonna step out of the code again, and we'll say, well, let's kind of try to find 1,000 blocks and kind of observe and see how this works. So user presses start, then our hashing power kind of starts ticking up, our nonces start ticking up. At some point we find a valid block, and that is kind of the first time we find it, we pull that out, we pause the mining simulation, and we tell people what went on, then they continue. Here we found, it just kind of keeps going. Here we've already found 214 blocks. We have to confirm transactions. Maybe we can just make that up, just kind of take a random number and our Bitcoin mined, because we also want to let the users know that that's how Bitcoin are generated through the block rewards. But this might be really slow. So there's a 10x hash power please button to speed the whole thing up. Because we do want people, I think we do want people to feel that this is a very processor intensive process that requires huge amounts of computing power. And by making feel that directly, then it might drive that point home, and then give them the shortcut of saying, well, 10x, maybe this is even 1000x or so, or 1,000,000x hash power, just to speed it up so they can kind of get to the end. Then, it's complete, you did it, huge numbers here, and some congratulatory text. Now, from here, we're going to need to lead back into the story, and we have some story text here. Again, this image is kind of a placeholder. The idea here was, in the story, is that now the machines are roaring back to life, ASICs are starting up all over the world, so maybe we can have some futuristic looking, fun, happy ASICs here that are just jumping around of joy and mining away. And HoloCat obviously will comment on everything. So that kind of puts us at the end. And then chapter 3 will lead us into Bitray and the 51% attack. So I think that kind of makes sense, those changes and the story. I think it could all work pretty well together. Just a lot of details here to still sort out in terms of the copy, images, some story, and also some of these coding details. I'm also not 100% set on this visual here. I'd like to come up with something more unique here. It's more of a placeholder. But, hopefully that pushes us a little bit forward. And obviously, of course, if I'm super wrong here with something, then, just please let me know.